make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, good morning from Paradise Surfers. Happy Tuesday, December 23rd. My name is Crypto Amaru, joined as always by Nick the Crypto Hitman. We got a great show for you guys today. I know everyone is feeling it. Gold is pumping. Silver. My alt bags are down. My Bitcoin's languishing. Ethereum stuck at $3,000. Why? Guys, we got doses of hopium for you. That's why you tune in, right? We're looking big picture. We're looking macros. We're thinking 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years out. And when you look at it from that standpoint, we are in great shape. Got some good stories to cover. Some nation states continue to adopt crypto and Bitcoin, including our nemesis, Russia. So we got a good story to cover for you on that. And then, of course, the GDP numbers are out, massively beating expectations. GDP earlier in the year coming far above the expectations. Is this good or bad for markets? Is this good or bad for risk assets? We will discuss. What does this mean for the Fed rate cut? And what else? We got the Santa rally. We got 2 days till Christmas. 2 days. And we've only got a week left in the year. Does Santa drop down our chimneys and deliver us gifts of green candles? Or are we getting cold? Are we getting cold this year, Nick? So, all right. Let's dive into it. I've been spending more time on Twitter. What an interesting place to be. And sentiment is shit. How are the charts looking, though?
Yeah, sentiment is very bad, but the Santa rally kind of started yesterday, getting as high as nearly $91,000. Obviously, we saw a sell-off today. We'll talk about what has caused this and will it rebound. Historically says yes, you have about a 4 or 5% sell-off after this event occurs, and then we do go to a new higher high, which means we do get higher than 91,000 and potentially get to that $95,000 level that I've been talking about that is very important to get to by the end of the year. It isn't dire. You don't have to hit it, but it certainly makes life a lot easier, and then that could lead to new highs in January like Thomas Lee is talking about, but you really need that 95K by the end of 2025 to accelerate into 2026. We look at Coinbase, 243, checking the lows again, not too worried about this. We sold at 367, still looking to buy it back. If it went to a new minor low, you would get a bullish divergence, and I would be blindly buying that, so up to you. Also, major support if it fills this gap over here at $214. Again, we sold this higher, having patience. Nothing too crazy going on here. Gotta love that trade. Ethereum, gosh darn it, got over the mental barrier, approaching 3,100 yesterday, back into the range of the moving averages. And then the sell-off this morning on Bitcoin has dragged Ethereum back below 3,000, $2,942. Still higher lows here if it can hold above that $2,780. So I guess let's start with, where is it? I think it's this one that talks about price history. You want to read this one for us?
Well, yeah, this is the GDP tweet, which I took some issue with, but overall I'm liking that the markets are talking about it. So yeah, GDP came in at over expectation, significantly, full percentage point above expectations. Look, great for the economy, no doubt. Although the caveat to that is this reading was looking at, I believe, Q2 of this year. So we're going back to like the summer. Basically, that's what these numbers are for. So we'll see, how the economy is going to be holding up in the latter half of the year when we get numbers for the latter half. But overall, good for the economy. I just disagree with the take, and you're seeing a lot of it on X and so on, that this is great for risk assets. Normally, when you see a strong GDP, this would decrease the chances of further rate cuts and further easing from the Fed, because the Fed's going to look at it and say, well, hey, the economy's holding up pretty well. Companies are hiring, selling their products, consumers are spending. So we're going to hold pat at our, whatever they're at now, 3.5% interest rate. So that's my big takeaway. And I think the overall markets, I don't know if you looked at the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 on the charts, but I think we're a little bit red right now. And I just think it's the market reacting to this we beat expectation on the GDP number, decreases the chance of an interest rate cut. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? First of all, do you take stock in these numbers, or do you think these are all fugazi you just made up?
We'll get into it, but breaking U.S. Q3 GDP came in at 4.3%. Expectations were 3.3%. This is a massive growth in U.S. economy, which is a good sign. This continues growth means ISM will grow and enter the expansion phase, which has historically been bullish for crypto. We have talked about ISM a lot, talking about the previous high was in 2013, was in the high 50s, then it was in the low 60s in the 2017 rally, then it was in the high 60s in the 2020 rally. So we've been looking at the ISM for a 5-year cycle and looking for expansion on that. Even if you just got back to the 50s like 2013, I think that tells you Bitcoin is back at like 150, 160, $180,000, which I would take. The last two major alt seasons of 2017 and 2021 started when the ISM was above 55. Again, we have been right on that analysis then, because now somebody else is talking about it. Now, if you look at the chart, the last 3 GDP readings resulted in a 4 to 5% short-term correction in Bitcoin, but it always pumps back higher. In the mid and long term, the growing U.S. economy means less risk of recession, which is bullish for all markets. So I don't know what I all agree with. I do like the historical data of seeing the sell-off after the news and then rallying out of Bitcoin. Will that happen here again as we do see the sell-off? It'd be nice to hold a higher low and then rally again into the end of the year, maybe getting that 95K. But I think my biggest takeaway for this tweet that you shared is he mentioned ISM not once but twice, and everything that we've been talking about for the past several months is exactly what people are starting to pick up on. And he is correct in the fact that if GDP continues to be strong, the economy is expanding, the business cycle is underway. Normally that happens as we get more liquidity into the markets. QE goes on, lower interest rates, businesses can reinvest, make more revenues, and everything expands. And that's where we get the extra income, extra funds to get invested into risk-on assets. So we'll see how that plays out. But it is interesting, again, ISM being mentioned twice, which we've been talking about, and then the historical data of the last 3 times we did have a short-term sell-off in Bitcoin, and then it pumped to a new high for the move. So let's see if that confirms itself as well.
Yeah, I think he's correct in saying that this is good for the ISM. It's good for the expansion of the economy and hiring, etc. I just don't know if it's good for any anticipated QE that we were expecting, because the Fed is not going to engage in QE unless they feel the need to. If the economy is looking shaky, if the labor market's looking very shaky, if the banks need money, the financial system needs money, then they'll undergo QE. But if things are looking honky-dory, they're not going to pump additional money into the markets and into the financial system and the economy. So, good long term. Again, I think good for the American economy. But it probably throws a little bit of cold water on anticipated rate cuts for end of January. The only caveat to all this is, look, this is backwards data as backwards data gets. See, look, yeah, we were at the 17% like 2 days ago.
Yesterday we were at 18% and 2%.
Yeah.
Today we're at 13 and 2.
Exactly. So, yeah, probably, again, decrease the chance of a rate cut. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to labor market conditions now. Not did we beat expectations and was the economy doing well over the summer, right? So we'll see what the Fed governors decide to do. We have a lot more data coming out between now and the end of January. It's over a month until the rate decision. We're going to have a lot of new data on inflation, on labor market, on the economy as it is today, not what it was 6 months ago. So, probably a little bit of an overreaction in terms of a sell-off here on the markets, but it is what it is, and we will continue to monitor the data and provide you guys our analysis as time goes by, as we get closer to the end of January. So what do we got here from our boys Trueflation?
Trueflation posted out a spicy tweet here. Looks like we're only getting revisions of the July, August, and September PCE data today in the form of tables only. Doesn't seem like the PCE year over year or core PCE year over year experienced much revisions. When would we get the October PCE data? Probably never. I think that was during the government shutdown. If the data weren't collected during the government shutdown, Meanwhile, Truflation PCE and Core PCE are both at 2.02% today. Calculating using massive real price data rather than consumer surveys, you can check them daily on our website. So the PCE from Truflation is quite low here at 2.02%.
Well, this is the PCE is what the Fed actually looks at much more closely compared to the CPI. I know the CPI tends to get more headlines, but for whatever reason, the Fed takes the PCE more seriously. And the core difference between those two readings, I think, comes down to the PCE weighs real estate inflation a little bit more heavily. So, in any event, we've been talking about the trends and the directions of both the labor market and inflation. It's the trends and the direction that give you the sense of what's going to happen next. And normally, if you're trending one way, you continue to trend in that way until the Fed does something to break that trend. And so I continue to expect the labor market to deteriorate. And I continue to expect inflation to go down. And that's what we've been seeing. And that's what this real-time data indicates. So,
This is
we'll
also
see if the Fed gets it right. Oftentimes they don't. We have to sort of brace for all potential outcomes there with the decision that's coming at the end of January. But the actual data, the real-time data and the trends show that inflation is going down.
Yeah, this is actually the year-to-date low for the Truflation PCE index. So, I mean, it seems like we're right on this. And the other thing too, they're like, oh, this is real data rather than just surveys. They're kind of poo-pooing the way the government gets some of their data. But I told you this. I own vending machine route, buying the same shit every week for like 3.5 years. And I saw the increase on my crackers during the end of Biden, and I've seen a decrease on crackers and soda ever since then. Products cutting back 3 cents here, a penny there, 4 cents there, a Sam's deal here. That all leads you to believe that everything is trending down in price, meaning inflation is going lower, at least on consumer products when it comes to vending machines, is everything from soda to snacks to whatever. And then we're seeing it on the real estate market a bit as well. A lot of people are speculating, is there going to be a housing crash with all the deportation numbers, self-deportations, because a lot of those housings are being filled by illegals or government subsidies are paying for people to be in housing. And we do know the government is cutting employees, cutting spending, cutting subsidies, which they probably should because it's a lot of fraud. I don't think we see a housing crash by any means, as there's still a massive demand and massive appetite and need for real estate investment and or living in a home. But I do think that all that does lower the cost of living when it comes to inflation going down, interest rates going down, and millions of people that were being housed illegally and or subsidized to be housed are now finding themselves on the way across the border.
Yeah, I think a little softening in the real estate market is great for the inflation reading. We know that. That's a fact. That's just a known fact to be true. But it's also true that real estate is very local. So in certain markets, you're seeing, I don't know if you necessarily call it a crash, but basically homes or condos, think South Florida, homes are sitting on the market for months and months. No one wants to buy in certain regions. The Southwest is getting hit hard. Basically, a lot of the areas that were really hot during COVID and everyone was moving there, and markets, real estate's pumping. They've seen a pretty decent sized correction. Where I live, a lot of people want to live in this region. Housing has been flat. I check real estate a lot because it's one of the things I check in on. And regardless, long story short, I guess if we're talking about anecdotes, real estate is softening. I do not know if it's crashing, and that is great for the inflation readings. And you would expect that to influence any upcoming Fed decision. So we'll see. We'll see how things continue to play out here. We remain cautiously optimistic around the Fed's decision here at the end of January. All right, enough macros, enough GDP and inflation talk. I want to give a shout out to our loyal listeners. Good morning, friends. Good morning, Moonmutt. Good morning, Martin. Hello, Todd. Nonso in the house. Hex Bulls here. Moon Boys. Yeah, man. I'm still bullish about this industry. It's funny, I've been spending so much time on X now because I'm like, all right, I just got to see what's going on over here. What is going on over here? Just engaging with people, just shit posting. It's been a lot of fun. But man, the sentiment is just shit. The sentiment is just shit. And I guess I feel like X it maybe is overrepresented with some newer entrants into the market. Some guys who maybe like caught meme season on Solana. I'm getting that sense that it's a lot of like Solana moon boys who made a lot of money in memes, and so they're obviously in bad shape if they didn't diversify out into other things. But the OGs, I mean, us OGs, I consider us OGs, right, Nick? We've been in the space for 2016. I got in here since 2017. I'm not feeling that bad. I'm not feeling that bad at all. I know 2025 wasn't what we wanted. It's a little bit red. Alts did nothing. But I guess it's because my time horizon's like decades, not years or months, that I'm feeling pretty damn good. Oh, you're muted?
Ash Crypto says Bitcoin has never printed 2 red yearly candles with the same 4-year cycle. Is CZ's super cycle thesis starting to align? I would say it's a crypto paradise super cycle. I think we're one of the first people to talk about super cycles, but that's just me. Also one of the first people to call 100,000 by the end of 2024, but who's to say? I guess we just don't have the microphone that CZ does when he comes on a month ago and says the super cycle is here. But we'll see, because you can look at this 2 ways. Number one, you still have a week left in the year. And it doesn't take much for Bitcoin to flip green. I think if it gets to 95,000 or something like that, it's green for the year. So then you could say, well, there's the normal 4-year cycle. Now we go red next year and we're all going to zero. Or number 2, you close red and then you read this data and you're like, oh, Bitcoin's never had 2 red candles within the same cycle. I think it's a super cycle. We go for another 5th year or 6th year, depending on what the ISM does. So I don't know. It's an interesting data point. I'm on both sides of the coin here. I want $95,000 Bitcoin to get momentum and morale for MicroStrategy and Bitcoin investment and everything else. But then at the same case, if you get 95K, then you get 3 green candles, and then the 4-year cyclist can be like, well, there you go. There's your 3 green candles. Now 2026, we get a red candle, and we continue on the 4-year journey.
I've discarded all belief in the 4-year cycle after I looked things more deeply. And you just look at how this market's structured and how the charts played out for Bitcoin over the past 2 years. It's really been a slow, structured grind up. It hasn't been the peaks and the troughs. Yes, we've had 25, 30% corrections 4 or 5 times now, but it's been slow grind up. And this is really the sort of the structure, the market structure, I think, occurs when you have ETFs bidding up the price and Wall Street and Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. So I think 4-year cycle, I mean, I could be wrong. Sure. Obviously could be wrong. But I don't think the 4-year cycle applies anymore. And I think 2026, we're getting expansion in the overall economy. We're getting lower rates, QE light. We're getting the Clarity Act. We are getting, let's say, more institutional investors coming in, all the banks coming on board, offering clients, new crypto products. So, I think 2026 continues the trend of more of a slow grind up, and whatever happened previously with 4-year cycles, that's in the rear view, and you sort of have to adopt and evolve as the market does the same. So, yeah, I do think, look, we're going to be green in 2026. We're going back to Ash Crypto's tweet. We're going to be green in 2026. I don't think we get 2 years of red. But to me, it's not about the 4-year cycle in a mythical calendar, rather about the overall economy, Fed policy, etc.
Yeah, we are seeing red in the markets. NASDAQ just flipped from a slightly green to slightly red. Same for S&P 500 and same for the Dow Jones. All were slightly green, flipped red. We do have PTGC up 3.5% today. Surf up 3%. Dubcat up 1%. And RhinoFi up 1%. So a little bit of green in the portfolio. Obviously at very low levels, but we got to take the wins where you get them, and you got to start somewhere. We'll see what happens with NASDAQ over the rest of the day, as again, these are essentially break even. Down 16 points, 0.08% on the NASDAQ, up 0.03% on S&P. And we would like to see Ethereum and Bitcoin hold those higher lows that they created just yesterday. We'll see what happens. We went over a tweet earlier talking about the history of these PCE numbers, of these data points. And the last 3 times it happened, you had a 4% sell-off on Bitcoin, followed by new highs for the move just a few days later. Could that be the Santa rally? Could that be the end of the year rally? I mean, everybody's watching the charts. It would be great if Ethereum was above $3,000 and Bitcoin was $95,000 by the end of the year. It would certainly make our life a lot easier in 2026.
I'm not overly concerned about where the price is going to be on December 31st. Sure, it would be nicer if it was higher. And then we end the year slightly green. We've talked a bit about how that does help, MicroStrategy raise more funds, etc., which is a good thing. Although they're sitting on apparently $2 billion now. I don't know if you saw those tweets.
Yeah, they're holding that in reserve for dividend payments, though, so they can avoid that FUD again. They're not going to deploy that into Bitcoin. Maybe some of it, but they need like
regardless,
like
they're not in dire shape where it's
right.
like, if it doesn't hit enough 95, like it's all over. I'm seeing a lot of FUD around Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy these days, and I just don't think a lot of it's true. But whatever happens, in the next week, I'm not overly concerned. I mean, I just think everyone needs to kind of take a deep breath and think a little bit longer term here. Let's at least think about let's at least think in quarters. What's Q1 going to look like? Q2, where are we going to be in end of 2026? And beyond. So I just think people need to take a little bit of a longer view. And when you do that, you realize, oh wait, it's going to be fine. We're getting tremendous adoption of this asset class over the long term. And the prices are still very, very low relative to, say, gold and silver. By the way, how are gold and silver doing today?
Yeah, we'll look at those charts here in a second. Those who are trying to buy Ethereum and hold the $3,000 mental barrier, SharpLink Gaming hasn't been buying, but they just announced earning another 460 ETH, not $460. That's a typo, Cointelegraph. Poo-poo on you. They earned 460 ETH in the last week in staking rewards, and they are compounding it into their bag. So that's a lot of money for SharpLink. And then I did see that BitMine bought some more Ethereum late last night to put their total holdings up to 4 million ETH, which is 4% of the total supply. Remember, their original target was 5%, so they still have another million ETH to buy. SharpLink Gaming has not been a buyer in quite some time. Can't raise more funds with Ethereum sub 3,000. But again, 460 ETH per week is what they've consistently been producing in passive income from their stakings and literally just compounding it into their balance sheet so your ETH per share for SBT continues to grow week by week as well.
Much rather have the ETH that's being earned from stakers going into the strong hands of SharpLink Gaming than going to your average everyday staker that's going to sell it for, to pay for whatever. So look, Ethereum's going to be fine. These companies, look, they're also thinking in 12, 24 month, 36 month, 5-year time horizons, and that's why Tom Lee continues to accumulate. He's not worried about what the price is going to be next week or next month. And I guess I just wish that average everyday retail took that same mindset. Maybe you don't have a 5-year time horizon, maybe not a 10-year, but at least more than a week, more than a month. More than, I'm upset because my asset's not pumping at this moment in time and some other asset is, and therefore I'm feeling shitty about myself. Oh, man, I just don't how can you be an investor like that if you're thinking about week to week and you're just comparing your portfolio to someone else's?
Gold went to a new slight high yesterday, and now it is selling off just a little bit today, down 0.21% today at $4,433. There was a bearish divergence, but since it rallied into the night last night, it is, no longer a bearish divergence here. You're not overbought on the tech, so I wouldn't even be opposed to saying that maybe gold even has a little higher to go. Get on mainstream media, get the schmoes rallying around the corner before Christmas, buying their nieces and nephews gold coins for Christmas, and then you have a sell-off. There is room for the upside. We'll see what happens. Obviously, you would like gold to stop because last time gold stopped up here, Bitcoin caught a big bid. If you see something similar, you have support all the way down to $4,200. $200 drop in gold, probably you get some of that rotation vibe back into Bitcoin once again, just like we did back here. And ever since then, gold grinding higher, Bitcoin grinding lower. I mean, these are kind of the inverse correlation that we've been talking about for a long time. It's been what's going on in this part of the market cycle here, and I think that trend continues. So all eyes on gold, all eyes on Bitcoin. What is going to happen? Or do you have any other input on what you think gold price is saying about global macros when it comes to the finance sector?
First of all, I will say this. For everyone who's in gold, good for you. We're happy for you guys. I'm glad you're making money. I've chosen to stay convicted and stay in my Bitcoin and Ethereum and some random altcoins because I do believe that given enough time, and I'm a patient person, that my Bitcoin will ultimately outperform any gold investment. I'm not, obviously if I got in 30 years ago, maybe a different story, but I'm talking about today. If I rotated out of my Bitcoin and into gold, that I would absolutely regret it in 3, 6, 12 months from now. Because Bitcoin is going to outperform gold in terms of percentage gains to investors. May not feel as great in the moment. There may be more volatility. There may be more angst and, oh, no, it's not going up fast enough. But given enough time, my Bitcoin will give me at least 100% gains within the next, say, 12 months. And gold is not going to $9,000. Guys, it's just not going to become an $80 trillion asset in the next 12 months. So I'm staying convicted and I'm holding my Bitcoin. I suggest you guys have some conviction and some patience too. But for everyone who got in the gold trade, good for you. We're happy for you guys. As it reflects sort of macro conditions, weakening of the dollar, concerns about the overall economy, I mean, yeah, okay. I buy into that. That's why gold's been doing well. It's the dollar debasement trade. I just think Bitcoin is a better version of gold. It's more finite. It has much more use case. You can actually verify whether it's real or not. And, it's 10 or 20, now 15 times less valuable than gold. And so if it even catches a minor bid and does even a fraction of what gold has done in the past, year or two, then we're looking at, 2 to 5x on our Bitcoin investment.
Yeah, and I know we talk about the rotation here. Bitcoin went from 80,000 to 116,000 when gold dropped, and that's what we're watching here. But also back here, gold is up 33% since August of 2025. That's it. I know euphoria is high. I know everybody's lining up. Holy cow, you need gold. It's up 33%. That's on the spot price. And you do know when you go to the shop, you go get your bullion, you're usually paying a premium when there's that much hype, so you're not even really capturing the full 33%, because then if you want to sell it, you're also getting a discount because that store wants to buy it cheaper than spot to resell it for profit. So maybe you're up plus or minus 5% from there. So you're probably up 28% if you bought the exact low in August. Well, what happened? We went from 3,300 to 4,400 in gold. Meanwhile, Bitcoin went from 111,000 down to where we are today at 85,000. So we saw the rotation here on a smaller time frame. We see the rotation here on a bigger time frame. And if you go back to here, this was the exact low. Bitcoin $50,000 right here. When Germany sold all the Bitcoin on this drawdown is when Bitcoin first ran to $100,000. So 3 times within the past 1 year, literally Bitcoin does the opposite of what gold is doing. So you want gold to stop somewhere up here. You want it to have a sell-off, and the rotation into Bitcoin will occur. It's happened 1, 2, 3, 4 times in the past year here, and that's why I think it's going to continue to happen. And, I don't know all the intricacies behind that. You have institutions in play. That's how they're hedging the markets. That's just what history is telling you. So that is why we saw Bitcoin catch a bid, gold grinding, liquidity crisis for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin down into the right as gold went to new highs yesterday.
This has been a well-documented correlation between Bitcoin and gold going back well before August, right? So this has been a well-known thing for years now. And it makes sense. It's just logical. The two would kind of interplay with each other. Gold being, sort of the OG hedge, and then, Bitcoin's the new kid on the block that's a hedge. They are connected. They are related. I'm glad you mentioned the 33% gains for gold. So even if you had timed everything perfectly, right, and you've just been the perfect trader, and you got in then, you've done 33%. What's ETH? I mean, ETH has done at least 100% since that time, at least since the lows, and we're, well off the highs of, what was it, we almost hit 5,000. So I just think 33%, like if you guys are getting excited about 33%, I know crypto guys are not. So yeah, just be patient. Let the rotation play out. Gold's pumping right now. Bitcoin will have its turn next. Ethereum's going to have its turn after that. Your alts will eventually go too once the liquidity conditions are right for that. And we're definitely going to outperform the gold bugs, guys. Absolutely. It happens every other time. It's going to happen again. So I don't know. I just like seeing this despondency and this woe is me on the feed, and I'm like, get a grip, guys. Just get a grip and be patient. Have some conviction in your holdings. You'll be fine.
Yeah, the rest of the globe is still waking up to Bitcoin. While retail panicking that crypto is down while gold and silver ripping, we're busy prepping for the Crypto Paradise Daily live stream where we cover charts, macros, politics, and everything else affecting your bag. Stories like this one. Just in, Russia considers allowing retail investors to buy Bitcoin and crypto. And I actually accidentally X'd it out, but I know there was another one like Slovakia is doing no capital gains on Bitcoin that you've held for 3 years or longer. So it's interesting to see more and more countries coming on the bandwagon for Bitcoin, incentivizing people to hold Bitcoin and incentivizing people to buy Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, Czech Republic, I believe it was. So a couple of, I guess, Eastern European countries getting on the Bitcoin bandwagon. Yeah, the Russian one's interesting, right? That's a major economy. There's like 150 million people that live there. Obviously, their government has a very tight control over their population. And when they ban something, I think it has an effect. And when they open up and allow something, it will also have an effect. So I do expect Russia to sort of open the floodgates and embrace Bitcoin, just as I expect almost every other nation to do that over a long enough time period. So Czech Republic, happy to see them. The nation state FOMO story is one of smaller countries jumping in, and then some of the larger ones dipping their toes and going a little bit more cautiously. But they're all trending in the same direction, which is accepting crypto, accepting blockchain, accepting stablecoins, accepting everything about this industry, and then ultimately profiting from it. That's the name of the game for these nation states, like it is for every other investor. So positive macro story, of course, hasn't shown up in the price because that's just not how this market's operating right now. But eventually, the lid will be taken off this market, and we're going to see Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., outperforming come, I believe, Q1 of 2026.
Yeah, there's not much else to talk about because there's not much altcoin stuff for us to do. So sorry we can't provide you with more alpha. But we've gone over a couple news articles that I think are good data points. We've talked about Bitcoin chart action, Ethereum chart action, Coinbase stock chart action, SBET, Bitminer, all the normal stuff. I mean, is there any altcoins that have been popping up on your radar or any sectors that have been doing well? I know there was a little glimmer of life on Solana, but again, not much. Pulse Chain down 5% one day, up 5% the next day, so relatively flat. We talked about how PTGC, Surf were up like 3%, but again, they're so washed out that 3% doesn't get too many people excited. Nice to see green in the sea of red, but nothing to write home about.
Haven't seen much on the altcoin front. There's one new protocol that was popping up my feed, Snowball Money. I believe it's sort of a competitor to Pump Fund, but instead of the fees going back to the creator of the coin or whatever, the fees go to adding liquidity or something like that. So happy to see some evolution and some improvement over the existing ecosystem over on Solana, which was very extractive, as we've been saying for a long time now. So I saw that pop up. But altcoins have been doing nothing. I mean, you look at the majors, even the good ones, right? Like Chainlink. Chainlink has like genuine utility, genuine adoption, continuously progressing forward with their technology and getting more institutions and so on onboarded and users onboarded, and it's down like 32% on the year. Aave, another great example. Aave is a great business. It's the premier lending and borrowing platform in the industry. It makes a lot of money, and yet dumping because a whale sold like 100 million worth. I mean, it wasn't even that much. In terms of actual capital being sold, it maybe even less than 100 mil, and it's down like 15% on the day. So yeah, altcoins obviously struggling this year. We haven't had the overall conditions to allow for altcoins to do well for 2 years. We've been in a 2-year altcoin bear market, guys. I know we had outperformance in memes for about 6 months in 2024 as Bitcoin was like ripping. Otherwise, it's been pretty much dead. I don't recommend selling at the lows. I think that's always a mistake. I'm not saying jump in and spend 10 grand on altcoins right now, although who knows, that's probably ultimately good. Probably that would actually play out well, but I'm not willing to get out there and say that and recommend that to anybody. But selling at the lows, I'm against it. I'm a moon or dust kind of guy, and I just think we will have our moment in the sun. It's just not today. Oh, we got Martin in the house. True 2X launching on Pulse Chain. Interesting mechanic. I've not heard of it. But what I will say for Pulse Chain is there is a lot of innovation going on over there in terms of DeFi. More so than I think almost every other chain that I've been monitoring, at least. You know, Solana is obviously mostly memes, maybe a little bit of innovation going on there with the Snowball product. Ethereum has been dead. I haven't seen any new coins launching on ETH, any new DeFi launching on ETH in ages. It's kind of become very institutionalized. I know it's where all the stablecoin transactions are. Institutions are going to continue to adopt Ethereum and deploy their products on there, but not a lot of retail going on. You look at Base. Oh, Jesse Pollock's trying to make Base a thing. Tokenize this, tokenize that. It's been pretty much a failure as far as I'm concerned. They haven't launched the Base token. And there's Pulse Chain, highly undervalued. Sentiment's cooked, but it looks like DeFi is prevalent over there and doing well. What's your take there, Nick?
Yeah, I don't know anything about True, whatever the heck you just said, but I mean, looking into it now, it does look like they got like 28 billion in Pulse deposits into that DeFi suite on launch day yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I think, nonetheless, like you said, it's a good narrative indicator that people are still trying to build over there and there's still upside potential. And also, we've been following that inverse head and shoulders on PLS off the lows. Still kind of in play here. It's a little bit sideways. But if we can see some green candles through the end of the year and onward, it could be another mini inverse head and shoulders, which would give you about a 65% rally in PLS from here, which we know would probably cause a double up in PTGC and SURF, along with probably a 75% rally in PLSX, which we prefer as our blue chip. So we'll see if ETH wants to help Pulse Chain. We'll see if that inverse head and shoulder wants to play out. Maybe Richard Hart does a Santa rally on his own for us, and we get a 65% rally in PLS, which I know would switch sentiment quickly over there. The community on Pulse Chain is cooked like all the other communities. They're upset. They feel deceived, but it's been washed out. And if you like hockey stick charts, PLS looks more washed out than really anything, only because it is a first cycle token, meaning that people haven't had years and cycle after cycle to really accumulate and get their big positions. And they definitely won't face the 9 billion whale sellers like Bitcoin is facing the past couple months.
Yeah, my position on Pulse Chain's been it will catch a bid when the overall altcoin market finally decides to recover. I don't know if you've seen the chart circulating showing that altcoins are sitting on like a 2-year trend line, like at the having bottomed out and looking like they should be reverse here soon if you believe in charts anyway. So, you know, hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel for altcoins. But Martin out here, Base launching a new D-app and still building great projects over there. Yeah, I do see some activity on Base, at least on my feed. I haven't really seen it amongst the degens that I'm in groups with. You know, I'm in a lot of groups with other founders, influencers, and whatever. Not seeing a lot of people talking about, oh, I'm going to deploy this project on Base or whatever. More Solana, a little bit of BSC or BNB chain, I should say. But it's really been super quiet. I mean, obviously altcoins are end of a 2-year bear market. And we're also end of the year and people are checked out and doing holiday stuff and touching grass, you know. So can't really expect too much going on. Shout out to everyone who's still paying attention and locked in and engaging. Man, it feels like crypto Twitter's down to like 5 or 10,000 active people.
Yeah, it is crazy. Even the big names like Wolf of Wall Street's, Rand Nooner, Randy Hipper, all these big names usually pull in thousands and thousands of views. They're even saying like, man, viewership is down, interest is down, capital flows is down. And it's like, all right, well, it's not just Crypto Paradise. You know, we were getting 1,000+ views on Twitter, and now it's like 200-300. So everybody is really checking out. I know we're just a smaller fish compared to them, but we've seen a substantial dip, 50%, 60% in the daily viewership at least, unless there's some big news or big readings to cover. And I know those guys are seeing it on even a bigger scale, thousands and thousands and thousands of less views. Remember, each view as a potential active market participant, a potential investor, a potential DCA, or a potential product user. And when you have protocols that buy and burn tokens or lock up tokens in LPs or whatever it may be on Pulse Chain, on ETH, on BNB, each less active user is less momentum, less transactions, and less fee burning as well. So, we got to get, we always say this, what comes first, the green candle or the user? It's like green candles come, that spurs FOMO, that spurs activation, that spurs interest. Otherwise, people are going to check out and go bet black or red at the casino or go bet the over on their NFL football game.
We've lived through this before so many times. Every time the market's down for an extended period of time, retail checks out. And every time the market's green for an extended period of time, they come flooding back in. I mean, if you were to overlay the chart of retail interest, vis-a-vis Google searches, and you were to overlay that on the price, it's like a one-for-one correlation. Price is doing well, retail comes back. Price doing bad, everybody runs away and stops paying attention. We ain't going anywhere. I'll tell you that much. I know it's not easy right now. Everyone's feeling a little bit down. Oh, no, I wish I got into silver. I should have sold to buy gold. Well, you didn't. And your option now is to buy, hold, or sell. I continue to hodl and believe because that's what's done well for me over the years, and I believe in this asset. So green candles will come back in due time. Retail will come back in due time. We're not going anywhere. Just continue to grind it out and do what we do every single day. Hope you guys feel the same. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but you got to find some solace, something to do in this market that you enjoy. I've been enjoying shit posting on X. I don't know about you guys. Just engaging with the influencers and the retailer. One thing is amazing. My best performing tweet of all time had nothing to do with crypto. Absolutely nothing to do with crypto. It happened yesterday when I just did an offhanded comment on some guy in his tweet. He was speculating about Erica Kirk, the wife of Charlie Kirk. And he was sort of suggesting, I think, that she had something to do with his death. And that's why she's out there, like, doing appearances and doing stuff with Nicki Minaj or whatever. And my comment was something like, don't you think it's more likely that she's just trying to carry on his legacy and
she's the CEO of a business that makes tens of millions of dollars a year and employs hundreds of people?
Yeah, exactly. Isn't there a more benign, obvious, non-conspiratorial reason for why she might be not? He's like, if my wife died, I'd be crying in a room for a month. It's like, first of all, okay, maybe, but she's not you, bro. Like, come on, this is a ridiculous thing. So anyway, I was just like, that's a ridiculous take.
Yeah, there is the conspiracy. She has ties to Israel and Israel killed him, whatever. And I don't know, there could be truth to that, but at the same time, it's not out of the normal for her to still be active. Considering, like I said, she took over as CEO duties of a multi-deca-million company that employs hundreds of people and that needs to stay active leading into midterms. I mean, you can't take a break when your husband dies and you go up to leader of a.
I know, Nick, company. But Nicki Minaj, something about Nicki Minaj equals that means she killed her husband. Like, just crazy stuff. But my overall point is this: that tweet and that engagement got 50,000 views and 500 likes. Yeah, you can go on my Twitter and you can see. Meanwhile, anything to do with the financial markets, anything to do with Bitcoin, crypto, I'm checked out. And that's what's disturbing to me, that people would rather spend their time on social media gossiping about celebrities. That's what this is. They're just gossiping and speculating about the lives of celebrities rather than trying to benefit and improve their own lives. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. I just and then you wonder why everyone's poor and I'm mad at billionaires and tax the rich. And well, maybe if you got up off your ass and stopped spending your time on social media gossiping about celebrities and tried to actually build something better for yourself, work hard at your job, create a business, I don't know, exercise, eat healthier, I don't know. Maybe you feel a little bit better about yourself and do a little bit better for yourself. So I was very disappointed, and maybe it's the algorithm, X algorithm too, is pushing crypto related topics down because it's not popular right now, and it's pushing up the politics and the celebrities and the gossip.
Here's a prime example. Here's just a fan account of Britney Spears that has 78K followers. So double what I have, but just a fan account of Britney says, Britney Spears has unfollowed Nicki Minaj on Instagram since Nicki Minaj has now gone Republican and Christian and, supported Trump. 386,000 views in just 14 hours.
Yeah.
There's a prime example. Same topic. The Twitter feed just heard you through this live stream and put this on my feed as I was scrolling over here.
That's nuts. It just put you, and you probably haven't really engaged with Britney content.
I did nothing. Right above it is literally Solana chart, Crypto Paradise. I scrolled here. Boom. A Britney Spears fan account.
Yeah.
380.
Thanks, X. Thanks for pushing bullshit celebrity nonsense on us and pushing down the stuff we care about, which is the financial markets, crypto, etc. But anyway, I was a little bit disappointed in that when I saw my best performing tweet had nothing to do with finance, nothing to do with crypto, nothing to do with anything I give a shit about. Happened to be a comment I made about Charlie Kirk's wife. What a sad state of affairs that is. But maybe we should start posting about Britney Spears. Exactly. I mean, it's just nuts, man. Our YouTube's doing well though, mind you. YouTube algorithm hasn't effed us over. YouTube's doing halfway decent anyway, even though the market's bad. And look, I get it. Of course, your engagement is going to decrease when the market's down and people aren't clicking on crypto stuff because they're like, money's not to be made. I don't care about Bitcoin. I don't care about crypto. I'm not watching your video or looking at your tweet. I get it. But something's changed on this algorithm, man, on X. They're pushing us a bunch of BS, celebrity nonsense. I don't want any of that. I don't want that.
All right, well, let's wrap it up today. We don't want to bore you guys too much. Stay tuned on our Twitter. Crypto Amaru being much more active. Crypto Paradise has some shorts coming out as well. And we'll try to keep maybe cutting up these long-form live shows into shorts, get them scheduled out for you guys to digest easier when we talk about good topics. And, root for the best here. We got our eyes on the prize. I don't know if we'll be live tomorrow. I think that's Christmas Eve, so maybe not till Friday. But we'll still be posting on Twitter, so stay tuned on there.
Yeah, we'll be off tomorrow and Christmas. Friday, could do Friday for sure. Yeah, I mean, look, we could check out and stop engaging and stop tweeting and stop putting out videos, just like most other influencers, I'm sure, are just closing up shop and, it's a crypto winter, I'm done. First of all, that's not in my DNA. Fuck that. No. Secondly, if you only ever work hard when the market's good, how are you going to have built a following? How are you going to have establish yourself with any kind of credibility if you only come into the markets and pay attention and are active, when the chart's green? So I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that from the standpoint of a business owner in crypto. I don't believe in the standpoint of an investor in crypto. I don't believe in the standpoint of a retail guy, who's just popping in and wants to make a quick buck. Everyone should stay engaged if they care about this asset and they believe in this asset class and they have a 10-year time horizon as I do. So I will continue to bang my head against the wall, continue to make content, continue to engage with you guys. I don't give a fuck if the chart's red, green, purple, sideways, up, down. We stay consistent. We stay locked in. That's how we do. Merry Christmas to you too, Seeger 3084. By the way, this is a new listener, a new follower, a new community member. And had we not gone live, had we not done videos, had we not done tweets, these folks wouldn't be here. So, got to stay locked in.
Before we end it, a little bit of good news. Good thing you're a new listener here. So remember those physical devices that were being given out for Pulse Chain, and there's still hundreds of thousands of them, and they're deciding what's the next strategy to give out those physical devices that promote Pulse Chain and Hex. I happen to have somebody reach out to me, one of the people who's in charge of distributing them, and I'm getting them to send me out a handful of those devices. So we'll use those devices as some kind of giveaway for Crypto Paradise. Now, it isn't going to change your life, but it is pretty cool. And I think if Pulse Chain does well, it will be a nice memento, probably find its way in the background of a lot of people's desks, their live setups, etc. When the Pulse Chain revival comes back and the glory is there. And you have one of the original OG Pulse Chain devices, that you can use yourself for notes, give it to your kid. hang it up, put it on display. I don't know, but they are going to be sending me out a handful of those, and I don't need a handful. I need one. So let's do some giveaways with those for the Crypto Paradise community, and hopefully you guys get more excited about those when Pulse Chain has some green candles.
Dude, love that. I did not know that. So that's great to hear. Look, when the market's good and business is rolling in, as it historically has happened in the past with Crypto Paradise, we're all about the giveaways. We're all about giving back to folks. Hell, we're the only channel out here giving away free nights of vacation down to our condo in Tulum called the Paradise Pad.
Yeah, now more than ever, spend $500 or whatever it is, buy 200,000 surf, and then go use the free vacation. That pays for itself right there.
It does. No, I mean, dude, over winter, it costs like $150 a night to rent the condo. So I mean, yeah, 5 nights, there you go. You're already in the green, buying your surf, getting in the Dow, and getting your free vacation. But yeah, look, we're all about giving back. There hasn't been anything to give back. Just to be perfectly transparent with you guys. There hasn't been deals coming in, projects like, yeah, we want to work with you guys, and here's some tokens, and here's some cash, and work with us, and help promote us, and help grow our brand. That only happens when alts are doing at least halfway decent. But when that time comes again, we will absolutely look to give back to our loyal supporters and loyal community members. That's how you build a community. That's how you build a brand. You got to give back to folks. Got to improve people's lives in a meaningful way. So that's what we're all about. Sigur is an old listener. Oh, dude, you should have popped in and said hello earlier. But happy to have you here, man. Appreciate it. By the way, any questions, thoughts, concerns about the market, concerns about this or that? Is Bitcoin going to zero? What should I invest in? We want to hear from you guys. Merry Christmas from all nation. Absolutely, Merry Christmas. I had a little debate with someone yesterday. Nick, I'd love to get your take on this. Apparently, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, we stopped saying Merry Christmas because it was offensive to people or something like that, and we started to say Happy Holidays. But now we've reverted back to Merry Christmas, and this is like a great thing. Have you noticed that? Is that real? Is that a genuine take, or is that just a ridiculous?
No, that's a genuine take, because the crazy thing is, I went to Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, got a scholarship to play sports at a private college, so Catholicism wasn't forced on you, but there was a chapel on site, and you had to take a world religion class to learn about all the world religions. Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, all that stuff. And that definitely was a big push, especially from the left. So much so that even myself, I get, somebody says Merry Christmas, and I almost pause because it's like ingrained in your head. This is the whole thing about when people say just because, people are ingraining something doesn't mean it changes you. It's like I was always a Merry Christmas guy. Love Christmas. My mom loved Christmas. She passed away, but we still celebrate Christmas with the family, blah, blah, blah. Even me, as a Merry Christmas from day one, hesitates to say Merry Christmas to random strangers because for a 10-year period, or really since Obama, it's been pushed in your head that Merry Christmas could be offensive. You need to say Happy Holidays to cover Christmas and Hanukkah and whatever the fuck Islam celebrates. I don't know. So if it affects me, somebody who clearly is moderate right, who clearly is Merry Christmas, obviously it can ingrain you. So yes, I see that. And the whole point of that rant there is to show you that the ingratiation, the ingraining on you can occur not just for Christmas, but how it applies to transgenderism, gayism, whatever the fuck you want to call that shit. And to think that in cartoons, if they're doing that it doesn't get ingrained on a child's brain is false and is very true, because it got ingrained on me, an adult brain, something as simple as Merry Christmas versus Happy Holidays. So when it goes to more extreme subjects in the child's brain, I think it's very evident that they can get ingrained as well.
Well, you make a lot of good points there about the grooming and the graining and the ingraining and so on. As to the Merry Christmas discussion, I've had no issues saying Merry Christmas. It's kind of my default, honestly. I don't know if I ever became a Happy Holidays guy. Maybe I didn't get the memo that it was offensive, and I just Merry Christmas. Maybe I say Happy Holidays. Maybe I, throw the Happy Holidays in there too. Now that I think about it, I haven't really given it a ton of thought. It's funny, like holidays here, Christmas, even Easter. The religious connotation, I think, has become less and less over time.
Right.
Because that was the point. The guy was like on Twitter was like, "I'm so happy that like they were saying Merry Christmas, Jesus is back." And I'm like, I don't think people say Merry Christmas really think too much about Jesus necessarily. It's just kind of that like it's Christmas time. Merry Christmas. You're going shopping under the tree. I know there's religious people who are going to church and things of that nature, and that's great. But I don't think there's been a religious connotation to this stuff in ages because it's been so commercialized. And that's what it's. And end of the day, that's what it's all about. So I will say Merry Christmas. Maybe I'll say Happy Holidays. Maybe I'll say Happy Kwanzaa. Don't forget Kwanzaa, by the way, Nick. I don't know if that's still a thing, but back when I was, do you remember Kwanzaa?
Do I get a government day paid off? If not, I don't care about it.
Oh, dude, yeah, tell me about it. I was so incensed when my kids got because I live in a town with a lot of Jewish people, and my kids get a couple days off for Jewish holidays, and I was just incensed that like I had to watch my kids for the day because like, is this a holiday or what? It just anyway, I digress a little bit, but Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy whatever you guys celebrate. It's all good. We should make a Bitcoin holiday. Is Bitcoin Pizza Day the official Bitcoin holiday? And can I force my beliefs on somebody else and make them celebrate Bitcoin Pizza Day?
We can try. Trump can maybe add another holiday there. Pretty soon, the people who have the 9-to-5 job, you might want to go back to the 9-to-5 because there's so many goddamn holidays. We'll get half the year off.
Bitcoin is a bit like a religion, is it not? Right? I mean, believe in something. We're a little bit crazy for it. People look at us a little bit like, "Damn, you're in a cult. You're in a cult, bro. You what? Satoshi? You believe in Satoshi? Bitcoin, fake digital internet money? You guys are in a crazy cult." Maybe a little bit. So Bitcoin Pizza Day. That's my new holiday. That's my Christmas. I think it happens in April. Anyway, we're off topic here, but this is what happens when the market's bearish, right, guys? He only says Arnold says Merry Christmas. That's why I know, and it's a free holiday. Oh, you guys get 3 days off. That's legit. 3 days. You get probably Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then I guess the day after.
And then that goes right into the weekend. Pretty nice.
We get
5-day break.
Yeah, we get obviously Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then New Year's Day and New Year's Eve. I can't remember. I haven't worked in like a real job in so long that I don't really even know what average people do. Yeah, we get I think New Year's. All nation out here. We used to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays without any problems back when people were happy.
Half the population needs a reason to be upset in their daily life, or really, I think what it is this: if you're struggling in your life, I catch myself doing it as well. Whether it's jealousy or just deflection, you're trying to make yourself feel better by shitting on everybody else or finding a reason to be angry or somebody else to blame, and it's not your fault. And the problem is, most of us probably do that once or twice here or there, and then the next day you pull yourself up by the bootstraps and you figure out a way to make it, whether it's going to work, doing another investment, fucking doing something around your house rather than paying for it, cooking dinner instead of ordering out. But there's a large subset of the population that loves to blame the orange man bad, the boogeyman, the systematic racism, the this, that, the other. America sucks for their problems. And that's where they find themselves in their daily life, and that's how they spiral out of control, and that's where you get TDS or EDS and all these other derangement syndromes that are going on. And that's, due to being coddled forever. Everybody was told, oh, it's okay, you do this. It's okay, you do that. No more government bailouts. No more, mental illness, coddling, and all this other stuff. And that's really what we see. So will that change? I don't know. It's going to take a long time to revert that back to the norm. But I see it. I mean, maybe people need to tune off social media for a while. It's been proven to be bad for your mental state when you're in there and you're in the black hole of hatred and everybody being broke and this, that, or the other. So I don't know what the solution is, but there's definitely a large subset of the population that has massive victim mentality right now.
I think the solution is tuning to Crypto Paradise, getting your daily dose of positivity. I'm like so positive it's gross. People I think are like, how is this guy so fucking positive? And to be fair, I'm not always this positive. Took a big loss on an investment recently that I was a little bit salty for a couple days. And I was like, you know what? It's just money. So I moved on. And you know what you got to do? When the going gets tough, here's what I think most people get wrong. When the going gets tough, instead of like rolling up their sleeves and doubling down and working extra hard and trying to improve themselves, that's when they start blaming other people. Woe is me. I'm a victim. Orange man bad. Whatever it is, right? I just don't think that's how you should operate in life. When going gets hard, roll up your sleeves, work harder, do more, try to get back. Like, I think back, my back was hurting a few months ago when I was getting a little out of shape. I could have just woed and cried and, but I just say, you know what, I'm going to get back in shape and work out, eat healthier, cook more at home, like you mentioned. And I did those things, and I continue to do those things, and my back pain's gone. It applies to every area in your life. Going gets tough. Stop whining, work hard, and fix the shit. Simple. That's my dose of positivity for the day, guys. We need a little bit of that in our lives. The markets are shit. So we are actually at an hour here. I always like to get to an hour because it's in my mind. I'm like, all right, we did an hour of work today. We're good. So yeah, great stuff. Appreciate you jumping on, everybody. We'll be back probably on Friday. We're going to take the next couple days off. Enjoy holidays with our family. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy whatever. And until next time, guys, we'll see you.